Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Strategies. I'm your host, Danette Moss, and joining me today, y'all, is an awesome woman. I know she's awesome, one, because I've researched her, two, because she sews into several other women. You see, this special guest that we have is a lady who has been noted as a international speaker. She's an award-winning educator. She's a best-selling author, and I'll tell you about her new book soon. She's also the host of the Working Women channel and Living Real TV. This awesome lady, her name is Clara Capano. She is what I consider the true Chief Harmony Officer. Her title speaks for herself. She has been in the sales and leadership field for well over 20 years, and her passion is to provide women in business to work with key strategies, no longer being all over the place, y'all, so that you can work more with intention, right? And put your personal and professional lives together. Y'all know I'm all about that. To further ado, I'm not going to hold her off much longer, but I just had to just kind of share who she was because she's phenomenal. I'm excited to have her here. And I have been just kind of stalking her since I found out about her. So I'm going to stop all this talk. I'm going to go ahead and bring this fabulous lady in. And I want you to go ahead, guys, and welcome Clara Capano. Hey, Claire, how are you today?
Oh, Danette, you are amazing. What a great introduction. And I am so excited to be here with you. Thanks for bringing me to the show.
Welcome to the show. I'm going to tell you, you have so much going on that's on your plate as a productivity expert. You
Yeah.
truly have to have things outlined just the perfect way. Myself being a strategist, I know what it's like to still possibly struggle in these areas. Hence the
Mhm.
reason I had to have the productivity expert, aka Queen
Exactly. Yeah.
herself.
I know you and I speak the same language in many different circles.
Well, I had to have you here for more than one reason because I didn't get a chance to speak about it in your bio, but you also have something that we're going to dive a little deeper into, which is that clarity piece, because we all
Yeah.
need that. And that's one of the number one things that I speak oftentimes when I'm training, coaching, or edu training the women in
Mhm.
business, those female CEOs that are overwhelmed. The first thing we deal with is having clarity
Yep.
because we don't have
Absolutely.
clarity.
Gotta have it. Because if we're confused, we just run in circles. When we're clear, we make decisions, we move forward. And that's what I want to do is I want to bring people clarity.
True clarity and help us get out of what? Guilt and
Oh
overwhelming
yeah.
belief.
Hmm.
Well, let's go ahead and get started because I'll just go here and just be all over the place. I don't want to do that. I want you to really, really, I want to hone in on some things that I know you can really truly help, not just the women out here that are listening, these female CEOs, aka my sassy ladies out there.
Mhm.
You can really truly help the traditional female CEO, that mompreneur, even that woman who's thinking about being in business. Because when I look at your story, Clara, I look at how you have blended life and business together. So I want to kind of start off with that because I'm going to be honest and tell you when I first started this journey, I paid. I remember getting my husband to pay for a coach, $1,200 a month,
Mhm.
right? And this coach taught me to separate life from business and not blend it together.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
most do.
and that's where the struggle went into play.
Mhm.
It was when I did the life and business. So talk to me a bit about that journey, Clara. A bit about the journey as a CEO, a mompreneur, and how you decided to blend this thing called life and business together.
Well, it's such a great question. And, the word that I love to use is this idea of harmony. And you hit on it with that word blending. And that's what it is how do we find the integration of work and life? Because they overlap. And, especially for so many women, because as great as the fathers may be, it still falls on mom most of the time. And we cannot ignore one or the other. It's that way of, again, that bringing in that integration and finding the harmony. And in all transparency, the way that I figured it out was by failing and failing really, really bad. I was horrible. And at the time, I thought it was great. I thought I was showing up. I had my superwoman cape on. I thought I was slaying all the dragons. And what I wasn't paying attention to is what was happening behind the scenes. I wasn't paying attention to the health issues that I was developing. I wasn't paying attention to the fact that when I was with my son, I wasn't showing up and being truly present. I was there, my body was there, but I was not there. I didn't pay attention to the fact that I was rushing through things with my clients and I wasn't truly listening to them and serving them at the highest level. So all of these things I was kind of doing. But the truth is when you kind of do something, you're not really doing anything great. And being the overachiever that I am, I wanted to really leave my mark and do things great. And it was really, when my son was about 4 years old, and I've told this story so many times, he was the one that shed the light on it. Because when he was young, he had the bravery one night to just come up to me and call me out. He took the phone out of my hand, put his hand on my computer and said, "Mom, you're not paying attention to me." And, I had to take that moment because this was the most important relationship. And I wasn't even showing up to give him the time to see a picture that he had drawn. And it was in that moment that I realized how unauthentic I was being. By trying to do it all, I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't showing up. I was putting on this facade, but behind the scenes, I was completely falling apart. And I was, quite frankly, lying. I was telling people, "Oh, I'm on top of it. I've got it together," but I was lying. And, you can only do that for so long. Things work until they no longer work. And this way of being was no longer working. And so that's where I had to make a decision. I had to first get very honest with myself and say, "You know what? I'm being bad at my job as a mom. I'm being bad at my job as a wife," because I was now on my second divorce. I was being bad at my job as a coach and as a manager, because again, I wasn't really showing up and giving the way that I wanted to do that. So what I had to do is I had to throw out the old way, because the old way was too structured and too rigid. Now, I love structure. That's how I thrive. That's how I get everything done. But again, it's the harmony. It's knowing that when you're working, let's work. And when you're off the clock, be off the clock. And really defining and changing my definition of what success was going to be, really getting clear on that vision, like we talked about in the beginning, of what is it that I want my life to look like? What is it? What is my vision of being a good mom? What is my vision of being a good coach? What is my vision of being a good leader? Bringing all of these things together and then finding a way to make it work for me. Because the way that other people do it may or may not work for me. I know people and they stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning cleaning their house. They love doing that. That doesn't work for me. I know that I need 8 hours of sleep. That's when I operate. So for me, it was delegating it out and getting a house cleaner. For me, I know that I am a morning person. I can get up, but then I have to take about a 2-hour step away from my business midday to possibly take a nap if I'm not on the road, to, go out for a walk or go work out so I can re-energize myself. So you have to find what works for you. And this is where I talk about putting you back in the driver's seat, because the only person you really have to answer to is yourself. And you have to find the way, because success and your method to achieve success has to all be done on your terms.
Truly, it's so true. And it's really one of the number one reasons why I had to have you on Let's Talk Strategies, because just from following you, listening to other interviews you had done, and just appreciating your transparency, because the reality is a reality. We can placate, if that's a word. We can really position ourselves to look, the perfect way. I too have been married and divorced, remarried. And I can remember even going through right now, even in this marriage, having to own the fact that you kind of raggedy. You got some things out of
Mhm.
order, and we need you
Yeah.
to get it in order. Now, there were some things that because of how I was doing business, my husband couldn't see it as a business. It was looking like it was a hobby
Yes.
of a business. So I too had to get some things in place. And that's when I woke up one night and God gave me SaaS,
Mhm.
and what I needed to do with it. Not just that, I started looking at my children. I'm a mother of 5 and a grandmother of 5, right? 2 granddogs at that too. But and just realized how my elder children, the eldest children, how they were really lacking in so many
Mhm.
different areas and how I played a role in that.
Right.
Now, also understood also that as a business owner, a woman who's married to a husband who's retired, who worked in a systematic way with someone, here I am running
Mhm.
a business, that there were still some pieces that he may not have understand as a business
Sure.
owner, the things that I have to go through. And sometimes I do have to put time in. But to be honest, there was so much out of orderness in reference to dogging my body out, staying up too late.
Mhm.
I still struggle with it sometimes. I'll be real, right? And him like, okay, woman, you're up too late. What's going on? You're at 4 o'clock in the morning. And so I have to be better at even speaking to him about, hey, this is a heavy week, and
Right.
these will be some late days, some late nights. But I found, just as you said, there's a systematic approach that we
Mhm.
need to put into play. This is why I called our topic here today the power of having systems in life and in
Yep.
business. You see, Clara, I believe we can't separate the two. I
Mm-mm.
believe they need to blend together. It's a life and business plan.
It is. It is.
You
And
believe
that's why I call it, when I sit down with people, I actually call it a success plan, because it's again about creating success in both of these areas. And there
oh,
is a way to make it work, but you have to pay attention to both. And I'm an independent contractor for a company called Ninja Selling Systems, and we do a lot with real estate professionals. And we call it out on the first day of our training. Our whole goal is to help you build a better business and to build a better life, because we know it is about both of those things. And too many of us are out there working, but we're not living. We may be breathing, our hearts may be pumping, but we're not alive internally and externally. And we have to be able to light ourselves up and find that joy. And we have to be able to know how to lean in and how to pull back at the same time.
and how to be honest with ourselves.
Mhm.
You
And
know,
know
if
that
you
it has to change. Know that it's going to evolve. The way that you show up this week could be different than last week. And that's where that idea of harmony comes from. And
Mhm.
you hit on something so important. And this is something that I really hone in on too, is you communicate your schedule.
Mhm.
That is something that I do. One of the best systems that I have, I call it my secret weapon, is every Sunday before the week starts, I actually have a strategy session with myself, and I plan
Mhm.
my week out. I review last week because I want to glean knowledge. How did last week go? What worked? What
Mhm.
didn't work? How did I show up? All of those things. Then I start laying out, where does my focus need to go this week? And then the last thing I do is I put my schedule together. And when I put my schedule together, the first thing that goes into my schedule is my life. And all of those things become appointments: time with myself, time with my son, time with my friends. If you have a significant other, put in time for your significant other. And then you have to be honest again. What are your hours of operation? Because maybe
Mhm.
this week you have to work 50 hours a week. Maybe this week you're working 25 hours a week. There is no right or wrong, but you
That's
need to
right.
know what you're working with. And
Mhm.
then plan your strategy around the hours of operations. And I say it all the time. It's not about the hours that you have, it's about how you invest and use those hours.
Wow, it's amazing you would say that because when I think about how my husband does stuff, he is the picture perfect person when it comes to bills being paid on time, having things orderly and organized. Well, I'm a business strategist. I can organize business a certain way, but all the other
Mhm.
stuff, I'm like this. And I know that that brings on a lot of problems. It can
Mhm.
bring on a lot of pitfalls in marriage, relationships, and
Oh,
growth,
yeah.
and all of that. And as I sit back and I watch how he maps out everything, I started thinking about how, listen, when I developed my first agenda that I had a while ago and called it a life and business plan, I need to blend it together. I never ever believed in balance. I don't believe
Mhm.
we can balance, in my opinion.
No,
I
doesn't
believe in
exist.
blending. I believe in blending because we have to blend. So I had to start adding my children's track meets on the calendar. I
Mhm.
had to add, hey, we're going to cook this day and this is the menu that we're going to do because I'm plant-based. So that's a whole other level, right?
Mhm.
All these things, that's been that way for years. So there's a lot of different structured type
Right.
things that I truly believe we truly need to have as individuals, as busy moms, let's just call it what it
Mhm.
is, busy female CEOs. Whether you're a mom or not, if you're a female CEO, you are still faced with a lot of different things,
Mhm.
which can bring on that thing called overwhelm,
Oh,
right?
yes.
And this brings me to my next question for you. As the productivity expert yourself, what are some specific examples of systems that you, Clara, have implemented in your daily life that has allowed you to optimize your productivity and your family time?
Mhm. So, one is going back to my strategy session before the week starts. And the key is before the week starts. Get your game plan together. It's just like if I were to take a road trip from San Francisco to New York City. I wouldn't necessarily just get in the car and drive. I would plan my route out based upon seasonality. And I would look at those things. And then also, I would pay attention to it every step of the way. This is your roadmap for the week. It doesn't mean that it may not change and may not alter, but knowing what your goal is and your optimal week needs to look like, you're going to have a better chance of meeting that vision of what you lay out. The second thing is when you do your schedule, everything becomes an appointment because we make our appointments. As CEOs, as business owners, we show up for our appointments, but it's a mental thing. Because if I have down that I am going to go to the dog park with one of my best friends, if I don't think of that as an appointment, I could easily push it to the side. It's an appointment because it's quality time. It's time that brings me joy. It's time for that balance that we have that you talk about and integrating it. And also, it's a respect for my friend. I have given her a commitment that I'm going to go to the dog park with her. It's now an appointment. Family dinners, date nights, all of those things are appointments, just like with our clients. If I have a client meeting, I'm going to make that client meeting. So we want to treat everything because the things that get scheduled get done. So you want to put everything in there as an appointment. One of the best strategies I have that help me maintain my level of focus is something that I call bubble time. Now, it's not necessarily a new concept, but the idea is I run my days with tight bubbles of focus because we get distracted about every 3 minutes.
Yes.
And the scarier thing is it takes us about 15 to 20 minutes to get our focus back. So the idea is the distractions are not going to stop. What can you do to best minimize them? And again, work on managing them. So I'm just going to use an hour as an example. If I'm sitting down for an hour, let's say from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., from 9 to 9:45, I am going to step into my bubble and I am going to work. And I'm going to give my focus to whatever it is needs my focus. This could be putting together my strategy session. This could be doing calls to my clients. It could be working on my next book, whatever it is. It could be going to the park with my son. Whatever my appointment is, I am there and I am focused and I'm going to minimize distractions. I'm going to turn my phone on do not disturb. I'm going to turn off the alarms and the alerts on other programs. I might, close the door if I'm working so I don't have the dog coming in and distracting me. So you want to do your best because we can get a lot done in 30 to 45 minutes when we are not distracted. So putting some of those things in really help to set you up with a higher level of productivity. Now, let's talk about real life because I can do all these things. I can plan my week. I can plan my bubble time. And I'm like going into Monday and I'm like, I got this
You
week.
felt me. I was just getting ready to go. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about this real life.
Monday happens and real life comes in, and all of a sudden the world is falling apart. Again, we have to start thinking like a CEO, because what we want to do is have some checks and balances in place. So I have my appointments, I have my week ready to go. Then the phone starts ringing, the emails start coming in. This is where you have to think on your feet a little bit and you have to make business decisions. Now, if a health or a family issue comes up, you always go, because health and family first, no questions asked. But for the other things, pause. Ask yourself a couple of questions. Before I agree to do this new thing, does this make good business sense? Is this moving me in alignment with my true goals and my true visions? Or if I choose to do this new thing, what is it I have to say no to? All of those are great checks and balances for you to make business decisions, because it still could be a good opportunity, but it doesn't mean that it's worth me stopping what I'm doing right now. So I might need to respond with, Danette, that sounds like an amazing opportunity. I already am committed at that time, but can you let me know if this opportunity comes around again? Or I would love to talk with you about that. However, I already have a previously set appointment set. I am available that afternoon at 2. Would that work for you? So you need to be in control of your time, because whoever controls your time will control your life and your business. So those are some things that you can do. Also, going back to setting expectations. One of the reasons I was so out of alignment is because I had this open door policy, which sounds great, but it's terrible for getting anything done. And the reality is if I'm constantly starting and stopping, I can't really serve the people that I committed to. So setting expectations, for me, it's a 3-hour window. I let my people know, because I'm on the road teaching, because I'm speaking, conducting trainings, recording podcasts and TV shows. Please know that if you reach out to me, I ask that you always give me a 3-hour window to respond to you, even if it's just to let you know that I'm still working on it, because it's important for me to be present where I am, just like I am here with you right now. They understand that. And the reality is if somebody were to come to me and I set those expectations and they say, no, I need you to answer every call, you know what? They're not my person. They're not my client. And that is perfectly okay. You're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. Your systems, your processes are not going to work for everyone. And that is okay. It is better to lay these out and have these conversations on the front end rather than find them out later. Somebody once said in one of the trainings, I would rather be honest with you up front than disappoint you tomorrow.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm smiling at you because I was just speaking to one of my clients before we got on, maybe about an hour and a half before we came on here today. And as I spoke to them, and she has an awesome business, structured very well, not structured very well, but she's trying to put it in structure. She's coming off of a full-time job, ready to go. She's got some things in place, but she's lacking processes and systems. And so she said, what should I do? I don't know what to do. I said, first things first is, one, have you spoken to your husband? Because her children are grown. Mm-hmm. She said, yes. So does he understand that you are working a 9 to 5, and when you get off work, you're coming to work your business like a 9 to 5, because you have to sow into your business? She said, yes. I said, now here's the next question. Have you scheduled everything in on the same calendar? Do you have a life and business plan together? She said, yeah, I have that, and I'm working on this calendar. And I was just listening to it because I remember that. I remember our conversation before in the past. I said, here's the thing. Outside of just what I just mentioned to you, you're still going to have to understand the other key piece. You're going to have to know when it's time for you to say no, when it's time for you to even say no to yourself. when it's
Mhm.
time for you to quit. Because when you don't know how to press that off button, you will put yourself into immediate burnout mode.
Mhm.
All this
Absolutely.
affected immediately. And you'll end up sick. I'm just
Yep.
getting over just
Been there, done that. Mhm.
right. And generally speaking, when I run into, if I get ill, and most, I can be around somebody who's really sick and generally can balance myself if I've taken care of
Yeah.
myself. But
Mhm.
the minute I'm
You know,
off
it
balance,
it's so true. You have to make yourself a priority. And, when we talk about this concept of self care, that doesn't mean always going and getting your nails done or a massage, although sign me up, I'm all for that. But again, sleep, rest. I'm on the road 30, 35 weeks out of the year, but I take care of myself. I make sure when I'm traveling, I don't go out in the evenings. Yes, it makes me boring, but you know what? I have to take care of myself because the people that I'm serving, the people that are in those audiences, they are not expecting to get a 70% version of Clara. They're expecting to get the full version. So that means I have to be disciplined to go home, back to the hotel, wherever it is, and get my
mhm,
sleep. When I come back in town, to understand it's taking care of ourselves is not about looking pretty, being skinny, being able to wear the bikini at the beach. It's about having the energy to
mhm,
serve, to serve
that's right.
ourselves, to serve our families, to serve our clients. And if we are not taking proper care of ourselves, by getting enough sleep, by fueling our body, and that doesn't mean that we can't have a glass of wine or ice cream or anything. But again, it's that balance, it's that harmony, because we
Mhm.
have to make sure that when we are showing up, the best way to be productive is to make sure you're showing up at the optimal level of energy.
That's so true. That is so true. Now, I got a question for you because we've spoken about a lot of different things that really lend to what we both love, our passion for productivity, our passion for systems, processes,
Mhm.
strategies. But, how do you ensure that the systems that you've implemented remain adaptable to the changing needs that we go
Mhm.
through, not just for
Good
business,
question.
but in your family life? How do you ensure that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And for me, what I have learned is I take everything in 90-day increments
Mhm.
because I find that there are different seasons as far as the calendar season, but there could also be different seasons for somebody's business and, how if they have busier seasons in their business. So what I do is every November, that's when I do my strategy plan, my success plan for the upcoming year. And then what I do is I also strategically carve out time at the end of each quarter. So the last week of March, the last week of June, the last week of September, and I do 90-day action planning where I pull out my full plan, but I review it every 90 days. Same thing. What worked over the last 90 days? How do I want to keep those things going forward? What didn't work? Why isn't it working? I then again look at the needs of my family. I look at the needs of my projects, what I'm working on, and I start to adjust and adapt as it goes. And then, so now I have my 90-day plan. I also put together my optimal schedule for the next 90 days. What is it that I'm working towards and ideally want to have work? I can identify what makes the most sense based upon my goals in the next 90 days. Out of the projects and the ideas, which ones make the most sense to do? So everything is approached in a more strategic way and they build upon each other. Because then what I do is every week when I do my weekly strategy session, is my week set up to deliver the goals in the next 90 days. And so I'm constantly doing that. And then every morning is my day set up to support my week, which supports my 90-day goal. So it's all working in unison. But if something isn't working, I don't want to wait until November
That's
to find
right.
out it's not working. So this allows me to see, do I need to change my approach? I very rarely change the goal, but I might
Mhm.
change the approach to the goal based upon my needs, family needs, business needs, society, what's happening. Again, during a pandemic, I had to pivot a lot, and that was good. A lot of great things came out of that because I was
Mhm.
actually able able to lean into some of the projects that I hadn't had time for. So, looking at these, but I think it's the beauty is not in creating the plan. The beauty is in the reviewing and the adjusting of the plan.
Oh, I absolutely love it. I speak from that all the time. I always say, I think
Mhm.
that you truly, in my opinion, should look at, everything quarterly, right? And
Yep,
this is how you take your business and your life from overwhelm and put it on rinse and repeat.
exactly.
In my opinion, when you can put it on rinse and repeat, meaning we're not saying that we're expecting for it to be perfect, but when you can see it, write the vision, make it plain, so then the seed can run with it. Who do you think needs to see it first? You do.
Mhm.
You
Exactly.
can't give it to anyone. You cannot give it to a VA, a junior admin, and think it's going to be perfect because you don't know your business. So you have to
Mhm.
be clear, AKA, we have to have what? Clarity.
Clarity.
That brings me to my next topic here with you. Talk to us about clarity, this business model that you have. Share a bit about that as we continue here on our topic here today, because this is getting juicy. We could be here for a long time, but I
Oh,
know I
we
can't keep
could.
talking.
Well, again, everything for me is born out of necessity and oftentimes making mistakes. And when I was a young girl, I actually hated my name. I'm a girl of the 80s, and during that time everything was personalized. The license plates, the buttons, the pins, all of those things. And my siblings all have very common names. And then all of a sudden I was here with this Clara thing, and nobody could ever get it right, and I never had it. So I grew up and I always hated my name. Then finally, one day when I started getting into leadership and doing coaching, one of my agents, I was managing a large real estate office, he would always come up to me and he'd be like, "Can I get some clarification from you?" And I'm like, "Ah, wait a minute, that's genius." And so that sort of became my tagline. So as I found myself, in my puddle of tears on the floor after my son told me that I wasn't paying attention and showing up, and I started to rebrand and redefine what success was going to look like, that is how the Clarity Success Method was born. And so what I do is I walk people through these 7 steps to finding their own clarity. Because remember, it's about creating success on your terms. So they go through it, but it's all adaptable to them. So it's very customized and very personalized. So the C, that walks them through clarity of vision. What is the vision they have for their life, for their business? Getting clear on who is it they need to become so they can use that as a compass. Again, getting their mindset of being a CEO, whether it's a CEO of business or their life. So really working on that clarity of vision, because that sets the stage for everything. Then we go into the L, which is all about leveraging time. I love talking about time because so many people are leaving time by the wayside. I love to think of time the way that we do with money. If I were to give you $1,000 and say, go invest this money in the best business strategy, you would take some time and really look at where's the best return on that investment. Well, what about our time? If I'm investing 40 hours a week, where should I be investing that time? The actions, the people, the marketing. So again, you want to really start looking at how to leverage your time because we only get a finite amount. We then pair that with the first A, which is all about taking the right actions. We need to stop trying to do it all because as the CEO of our world, it's not about doing everything. It's about doing the right things. So I walk them through what their role is in their organization, and we start to identify what are the 5 to maybe 8 things that they really need to focus on doing at a very high level. And we build their schedule and their plan around doing those activities really well. As much as we need to take action, the R is all about rest and reflection. We can't go further if we're depleted. And again, we have to have that reflection time in to know what's working, what's not working, and to make those adjustments. The A is all about articulating our value because no matter what we do, there's 100,000 other people that do the same thing, but nobody does it the way that we do it. And what we know at the heart of everything is something called the economic law. The economic law states that money flows to value. So if you want more money, you better be delivering more value. And we are really good at thinking that we are great, but what we're not good is how we communicate that value to the client. So we want to talk about the client journey. Who is their ideal client? What are their needs? And how are we going to be delivering value to them on a consistent basis, both as a professional in our field, but also as a human being? The T is all about tracking and measuring. Again, we can talk strategy all day long, but the reality is not everything works the way that we think it's going to work. So we have to start tracking. Tracking gives us knowledge. It gives us the ability to start to really look clearly at where we are, again, investing our time, our money, where our business is coming from, so we can make better business decisions and create stronger strategies. And then the why is all about, yes, let's celebrate, because we work really hard and many times we forget to celebrate. We forget to celebrate the big wins and, more importantly, the small wins. So many people think that the celebration comes when the paycheck comes. Well, what I like to do is to celebrate the day. Did I do the right actions? And if so, let's celebrate that, because I know enough of the right actions are going to bring the paycheck. Let's celebrate who we connected with, who we served. Every day, it's not about, did I get up and make a sale today? It's, did I deliver impact? And if I was able to deliver impact, let's celebrate that. Now, there are going to be days where you do get the big paycheck. Celebrate that too. But the reality is there is beauty in every day. So let's just not wait until the end of the year. Let's celebrate every day, because remember, we want to show up alive each and every day. So that's what I walk people through. And then again, it's not just the creating the plan. The beauty is in bringing them back and reviewing it on a regular basis so they can stay connected with the plan. Because as we said before, when you have clarity, you feel confident, you have the green light to go forward, and that's where the magic really happens.
I absolutely love it. You know that I am that woman I love the acronyms, clarity and breaking it down with clarity. Because in everything that we do in life, Clara, we need clarity.
We do.
In our personal life as well as business. And if we don't focus on the reality of that, we're going to be all over the place. If we don't focus on that, we're going to have the conversations that we really truly don't want to have from our children. When they say, you forgot about me, mom, you all you think about is business. Or the husband is saying, you're not here, you're disconnected. You're not thinking about those things that really truly matter. I love the clarity success method. I really do.
And you bring up something really important, especially when you were talking about the client that you had, and you were saying, did you talk with your husband? And this is for your significant other, for your kids, for your friends. This is why communication is so big, because it's not that they expect us to be there every hour of the day, but what they expect is that when we are there, we are there. So tell your family, you know what, this week is a busy week for me, but I am going to commit to having family dinners with you 3 nights a week. And when you show up, be present at those family dinners. They can forgive, and they will forgive some of the other days, because when you're there, you're there. Even if all you can give them is 30 minutes, trust me, they would rather have 30 minutes of true connection and true presence than 8 hours of you not even being present.
I need you to stay out of my life, stay out of my business.
Get no too over.
I need you to stay out of my business, Clara. Too much clarity going on here. Listen,
I know.
Let me tell you, I truly appreciate you for what you're giving. And I love having these transparent moments because they're important. If I can't be transparent, then I, as a leader, as a woman in business that works with women, female CEOs, to go from overwhelm to simplifying, automating, systematizing, and streamlining your business, there would be no way that I could really, really, truly do that if I couldn't be real with the fact of where I was. Because I remember being all over the place. I truly remember being all over the place. And it was until I was given my God-given goal and my dream and my SaaS, right?
Yeah.
And understanding. I remember when I first got it and I thought, oh, it's strategic, action, signature systems. Then I started seeing how come I was still struggling through it and how everyone else I was working through, they couldn't be strategic, take action, create a signature system because they were overwhelmed. They were overcomplicating things. So
Yeah.
the best solution was to simplify. Then we automate, we systematize and streamline. And not necessarily they have to be in that order, but when you simplify, you can begin to look at what you can systemize.
Exactly. Yeah.
Then you can look at, okay, I want to streamline this. Automation will begin to flow. We will look and see if we should keep it, pause it, scrap it, or delegate it.
Exactly.
We can get to take these simple approaches. Everything that you've mentioned, it's so simple, but we tend to overcomplicate.
That's a big problem for most of us is we do that and we talk ourselves out of things. We think it has to be more complex than it needs to be. And at the end of the day, for most of us, it's just about true connections with people. And, we don't, what people really want is, again, is the real us and for us to be able to guide them. And we get in our own ways all the time.
Well, you know what, Clara, we could be here forever, and I appreciate you for joining me here on Let's Talk Strategies with Danette Moss, because I knew this topic was going to be juicy. In fact, I know I'm going to have you back because I have so many questions to ask. But the last question that I really truly, or the last couple questions, one being that I really want to focus on is, talk to me about this new, awesome, dynamic book that you have just recently released that I heard you talking about over on Clubhouse and LinkedIn and all the other places. I have it listed here, but I want you to tell us about this book and why you decided to create such what I would call a manuscript that we women could really truly hold on to help take our lives and our business to the next level.
Oh, thank you so much. So yes, this is my book. It's right here. It's the Mother of All Success Manuals. And, this really is my gift to other working moms. When I was going through my journey and when I was really at the beginning of it, I felt completely alone. Nobody was really sharing ideas. Everybody was happy to tell me that I was doing stuff wrong. But again, everybody was trying to put me into a little box. And as I learned that I have to just trust myself and start to listen to myself and really come from a place of authenticity, I wanted this book to give women everywhere the feeling and the knowledge that they are not alone, that they are not as much of a mess as they think they are, and to let go of the guilt and the shame that so many of us carry around by feeling like we're never doing enough. So I really wanted to be able to just give women a guidebook to help them maneuver through, to give them, again, those key strategies that they can then bring into their world and adapt them so that they work for them. So it's not me telling them what to do. It's me giving them the components that they can then maneuver and really be able to create their own path to success. And one of the things that I did is after each chapter is there's actually a little workbook action step area. So after each chapter, when you read the chapter, it talks about how can I then implement it. So it's going to really help you not just get the ideas, but let's start to make sure that we're implementing them and starting on our own journey and our own path to more control over our times, less guilt, less overwhelm, because that's what we want to do is we want to intervene on that burnout. We want to eliminate it so we don't even get there. Oh, I can't hear you.
I'm just talking.
There you go. Yeah.
Right here on the screen. I know I need it. And I've listed it right here for everyone. Every female CEO, every husband that may be looking at this that knows her wife other needs this, I encourage you to go out to Amazon and grab this. The Mother of All Success Manuals. Please let it be a Christmas gift. Add something else in there though, okay? Because you know how we get, like, how you going to give me this book? But
you better throw some other stuff in there.
Throw some other stuff in there though. because this
Yeah, I
life
also want to just I want to just dive in and say, because as women, I think it's important that we understand the power of community.
that's right.
So, buy this not just for yourself, share it with your friends, but I also want to let everybody know that one of the areas that I really believe in is the fight against human trafficking. And so I have made it my calling that $5 from every book that is sold, I will be donating to fight that cause, so that they know that when they buy a copy for themselves, they're also giving to a bigger cause and making impact just in purchasing the book too.
Wow, what an awesome cause. So you are touching lives in so many different areas, Clara.
My
I
goal is to
really, really
impact a
appreciate it.
million lives this year. So I am on my way.
Listen, you are a woman after my heart. You are a woman that will truly help other women get to where they need to be. And here's the thing, we have the manual right here in front of us. This manual is going to help us not only deal with business, ladies, it's going to help us deal with life. So I encourage you to go out, make sure you grab it. It's right here where you can go to Amazon and grab it so that you can go ahead and begin to work on it. Give yourself the checkup from the neck up. How about that?
Mhm,
So,
for
Clara,
sure.
share a bit about where we can follow you. I know that I'm connected with you in several different places. What's your favorite place that you'd like for them to connect with you?
Yeah. So my two favorite places are on Facebook. I actually have a Facebook group. It's called Women Winning Their Way. And it's again, a free community that you can join. I pop in there and I usually do a weekly Facebook Live where I just share some strategies. I share a lot of humor and just other tips so that we can, again, keep our mindset fresh and stay in that position of growth and strength. And then the other place that I do a lot on is LinkedIn. So they can go to both of those. The other great place to go is just my website, which is claracapano.com. There, I not only have links to the books, I have links to be able to watch my show, which is streaming on all the different platforms, as well as on my YouTube channel. And if anybody is looking for a great speaker to come to their event, or if they even just want to talk about working with me one-on-one, they can get all the details there.
Well, I've already done my research because I was ready and armed. But I
Mhm.
wanted you to share where you could be found and your favorite places to hang out with you, because I really truly believe that everything that you have to offer, in my opinion, is absolutely golden. It
Oh,
really
you're
is.
very sweet, Danette.
Because it helps us in so many different areas. Again, in our life and in our personal and in our business. That perfect blend. Oftentimes I may interview people and they still have that separate, but I
Mhm.
love having you here because I knew you would get exactly where I really needed you to go, because it's my life. It's who I
Yeah.
am. And I believe in being transparent and giving people what they need so they can succeed as well. So I really truly appreciate having you here today with us on Let's Talk Strategies, Claire. And I want to tell everyone else, if you're not following her, make sure that you hang out with her over on LinkedIn. Make sure that you connect with her. Make sure that you show her some love in the things that she share. I promise you it's going to be beneficial for you and your life. We want her to keep showing up everywhere. We want those sales to definitely go out. I don't necessarily push people's items, but when you come on to Let's Talk Strategies with Danette Moss, yes, I'm a business owner. Yes, I'm in leadership and training and coaching and all of that. But it's not just about me. It's for other people to get what it is that they need. If I can't bring to the table what I feel as though you need, I promise you I'll have someone else that'll do just the same. So let's make sure we get connected with Claire out there on LinkedIn. Definitely go out to Facebook and join this awesome, fabulous Women Winning Their Way group. She's made it not about herself. She's made it for you. So let's go out and let's take advantage of that awesome free opportunity at that. Listen, it's a win-win situation and it's in her title.
Absolutely. And when we support each other, when we all come together, we all get stronger. And that's really what I want. And, Danette, I really appreciate you bringing me in to talk. You are just a breath of fresh air, and what you are doing with your sass, we all need some sass, and you're breaking it down. So just so much, honor and acknowledgement for you and what you're doing. And thank you so much for bringing me on.
Well, it was a true honor to have you here and to talk with me and share on this topic of the power of having systems in life and in business, and not to be afraid of it. The reality is we operate on a day-to-day basis in a systematic approach. We wake up, we open our eyes, some of us pray, we get up out of the bed, we walk into the bathroom, we use it, we wash our hands, we wash our face. It's a systematic approach. It's life. And we tend to think that we don't need to put it in our life, and that in some pieces of it, we don't tend to think we don't need to put it in our business. So this is why this topic was so important to me. And again, Claire, I appreciate you for joining us here on Let's Talk Strategies. I promise I will be reaching out to have you back.
Anytime.
Awesome. And for those of you that are just now joining or looking here and looking at us now, and definitely sure to look at a rerun or a replay on this, because this one is a topic that I know many people are going to continue to ask for. I am Danette Moss, the strategy lady over at Let's Talk Strategies, home of the SaaS Factor, where I work with overwhelmed female CEOs. Y'all, I work with them to go from overwhelmed to simplifying, automating, systematizing, and streamlining their business. And I hang out over one of my favorite places called Let's Talk Strategies. You all can connect with me there at letstalkstrategies.com. You can find me over on LinkedIn as well. You can find me over on, Instagram. There's so many different places where you can connect with me. But I tell you, when you connect with me, the one thing that you can rest assured is that I'm going to give you something of value that you can not only grow your business, but that you can take your life and business, the perfect blend, as Clara and I spoke about, to the next level. Again, I want to thank you for coming and taking the time out to join us here on the Let's Talk Strategies show, listening to Clara and us. We are here every Tuesday at 12 noon Eastern. So keep your eyes and your ears open. You never know who you may hear from, but I do promise you one thing, that you will get something of value that you can take your business and your life to the next level. Thanks so much for joining. Until next time.